Hey, good evening. What's up? It's Adam Fitzgerald from the Darkened Hour. And with me today, geopolitical researcher, videographer, Darin Harvey. What's up, buddy?
Hey Adam, how you doing today?
What's going on? Hey,
Not much,
listen,
man.
we did a critique video, not much of a critique video. It was actually a video support, trying to reach out to Gene Laratonda.
Mhm.
This video is basically not so much about being a critic of Richard Gage, but like we've done before, like reaching out to Richard Gage, it didn't work. Guy didn't want to really reach out to us. So what we're going to do is we're going to put the mirror in front of him, and we're going to allow his own words and the people that he supports, uh, and allow their own statements to serve against them. And this is the reason why we're being this forward with Richard Gage and those are on his show. And this really doesn't just hurt the truth movement. It's not just like hurting the truth movement. It's hurting all of us. The
Right.
reputable researchers like yourself and myself. So what we want to do is we're going to play some clips, and just to show you, these are clips from his own show and clips from his
Mhm.
own mouth. And this is basically going to serve against him. This is the reason why we're pushing back against it. Darin, I mean, is that basically about it?
I think that's it, Adam. Let's roll it.
Yeah, let's roll it. So the first clip is from Richard Gage's. This is his first video he done. That
Oh, I see.
well, I'm gonna. You know what I'm gonna do is I'll share the video. So what this is from his first video he at 9/11 Unleashed. I'm sorry. Let me put that back up here. This is from his site 9/11 Unleashed.
Oh, I see another question there.
Yeah.
Richard, are you familiar with urban moving systems? And the FBI report dancing Israelis, Mike Ridbaum. Yeah, I sure am. And for that kind of analysis, I encourage you to look at the excellent work of Christopher Bollin, who wrote the book Solving 9/11. Incredible insight over there. I won't touch on that today. It's not my area of expertise.
Yeah.
But in terms of the question we keep getting, who did it? I encourage you to look at the book that Kevin Ryan wrote, Another 19 Suspects, because he did some deep gumshoe investigating
Gumshoe.
and found some culpable critters right here at home. Yeah, and of course, there's plenty of people to point fingers at, and my specialty is going to remain the forensic scientific evidence at the World Trade Center. I'm just going to branch out and bring in some different voices and let them be the experts in their fields.
Yeah, let's stop it from there. Okay, so I'm going to go. I'll start us off first. First of all, this is just a video just to show you the people that we're going to be playing in the clips follow up after this, supporting these wild inaccurate theories. So he just starts off with Christopher Bollin.
Mhm.
Now, for those who don't know, I mean, you've followed Bollin.
I did follow
never
Bollin
did,
for a
because
few
at
years.
the time,
Yeah.
I didn't know who he was, so I didn't know who he was back then. But Christopher Bollin. The guy blames Israel for everything. Spilled milk, spilled cereal on the floor. This guy is
Absolutely.
Jew, all over the place.
Yep.
He's also a no-planer. Doesn't believe
Yep.
any of the planes were hijacked. Doesn't believe that the phone calls are authentic. Thinks that drones actually hit the World Trade Center, and a projectile hit the Pentagon, and nothing crashed in Shanksville. This guy's he's all over the place. He was actually one of the most popular Fringe conspiracy theorists in the world at one point. He's now been inactive, and I'll pass it to you because you got a lot more to say about Bollin than I do, because you used to follow his research. But what I wanted to do in this clip is basically show you that Richard Gage is out of his element talking about geopolitics, and he even admits it in this video. So he's going to talk about it anyway, but the people that he's going to reach are the people that he's trying to persuade and gain a following. Darin?
Yeah. So the biggest mistake Gage did there said there's two experts. Well, they're those two experts. Trust me, they're not. Christopher Bolin is somebody I followed for a few years before I, got with Dawson and you and Nelson Martins. So with Bolin, like you said, I'm just gonna piggyback on what you're saying. He's Jew. He's a no-planer. He believes drones hit the towers. Everything is Jew. Okay. So when I followed him, I was kind of like, does this guy have anything else besides just blaming Jews? Because I'm sounding like a anti-Semitic here.
Yeah.
I'm trying to research 9/11. I'm not trying to hate every Jew in the world, that had whatever type of connection with September 11th. Another thing too about him too is he believes that Khalid Sheikh Mohammed was a he had a imposter at Gitmo.
Yes,
so,
that's right. That's right.
Yeah. So Christopher
Bolin.
Yeah, Christopher Bolin. There's a reason why he hasn't been active for 3 years, and it's because he brings nothing new to the table. He's a no-planer. He's irrelevant at this point, and to even consider him an expert on 9/11 is a travesty.
Yeah, listen, I can't agree. I forgot all about that. That's right, because I did a video based on that regarding Khalid Sheikh Mohammed's an imposter, and I think in the video I actually said that he has a nephew actually in Guantanamo, and that's Abdulaziz Ali, also known as Ammar al-Baluchi. And I'm thinking to myself, does Ammar al-Baluchi not know that it's an imposter and it's not his uncle? Like,
right?
Was he fooled everybody? Right? Right. Yeah. I think you said it best. We'll leave this alone with Bolin, and that's it, because this video is about Gage. But it just goes to show you that already in the video, Gage is supporting these people, and he has no concept about geopolitics. In his own words, you heard it, and he's basically supporting people who are propagating these falsehoods. You have to question why. Why is he doing this? Why isn't he mentioning people like Kevin Fenton or Nelson Martins or Ryan Dawson? Why isn't he talking about them? Well, there's a reason, and we'll get into that in a minute.
Absolutely.
So here's a second clip. Now, this second clip, basically, I'm going to just rewind it here. So the second clip is basically, from Richard Gage's interview with Adam Eisenberg. And so Adam Eisenberg, who claims to be, a little bit of background for those who don't know, Adam Eisenberg claims to be an employee of the old Regiment Guard in the U.S. Army that was there for the search and rescue or the cleanup of the Pentagon. But he didn't see the plane hit because he was in a barracks, and I forgot the name of the barracks he was at. But Adam Eisenberg claiming to have been at the Pentagon and saw no evidence of a plane crash and whatnot. So here's a clip of Adam Eisenberg describing about the engine.
Just to kind of give you an example, I lean heavily on my experience. And so we all have seen the pictures. A lot of us at least have seen the major pictures that are up and on a lot of the websites. And we'll get to some of those shortly. But a lot of people just don't understand just how big these engines are. This is actually a Rolls-Royce RB211 engine that would be outfitted for a Boeing 757. Just to kind of give you guys an example of how big these things are. We've all, like I said, seen the pictures, and a lot of people say, well, that the hole, in that building, the Pentagon, that could logically explain a fuselage. But one of the things I've always been extremely interested in is, where is the proof of where these gigantic, very heavy, very large pieces of equipment, where did it hit the Pentagon itself? Because these things are very dense, and as you're going to see here pretty soon, on the far right-hand side, these things have a dry weight alone of 8,169 pounds. So to give you a little bit of perspective, according to mechanicbase.com, the average car in and of itself, a small car, so a Nissan to a mid-sized car, weighs anywhere from 2,600 to 3,500 pounds. This engine dry weighs about 8,000. And so they're very big, they're very large pieces of equipment. And so that's the one thing that I always kind of look for when I look at any Pentagon information. And that's a whole other topic of discussion in and of itself. This is actually a Pratt & Whitney engine in front of us. I believe this is the PW2000. But I just wanted to put some engine pictures on here just to highlight how big these are. You know, that handsome devil right there, I mean, he's probably around 6 foot tall, you know, so.
Yeah. All right. What's the problem here, Darin?
Well, the biggest problem here is you truly expect engines to survive. So we have to really think about what was going on here. Okay. 530 miles per hour. Okay. 77,000 pounds of fuel. Approximately. Going into a building. I don't know what you expect to be left. I don't care how much they weigh or big. There's not gonna be a lot. They get obliterated. There's pieces of the plane debris everywhere. I don't know how you expect engines to be intact. Okay. Also, too, I don't know if he brings up the fact that the right engine was also struck a generator before it hit the Pentagon. So it's already going to be part of the missing pieces and parts already. So this is the problem with the Pentagon, and the problem with that is we're talking about engines, which is fine. I had no problem with that. I think actually the fuselage should be the main thing we should talk about with the Pentagon, but that's besides the point. We need to talk about the 86 eyewitnesses that saw American Airlines fly into the Pentagon. I don't care about anything about engines and all this stuff. You're just trying to make a conspiracy. You're trying to make something that wasn't, you're trying to persuade someone to believe something that didn't happen. Okay. So my point is 86 eyewitnesses saw American Airlines crash into the Pentagon. Okay. And I get a lot of people who say, well, eyewitnesses don't matter, this and that. I just go back, well, how do you solve a murder? With evidence. Usually with murders, there's no video evidence of that person murdering someone else, right? So what does the detective rely on? Evidence, right? Weapons, blood, anything, hair, any type of DNA, right? Well, this is what we have with the Pentagon, and I really want to stress this because the Pentagon should be a non-issue. It's in my opinion, has the most evidence of any of the crashes. Okay, the witnesses, the debris, the DNA from the passengers. You have the flight data recorder. You have all of this evidence, but we want to talk about plane parts. You see the problem here, and this is what I don't get. Is Gage should be asking, like, what about the eyewitnesses? What about the plane debris? Maybe should interview someone like James Schwartz, who was there within 6 minutes. I mean, nothing against Adam, but he arrived, because we talked to him personally. He arrived there about 3:30, 4 o'clock. So he's probably not going to see much there, So that's who Gage should be talking to. Nothing against Adam, but James Schwartz should have been the person he should have called right away, because he was there, his team was there, and he could have told you exactly what happened.
Yeah, hey, listen, I think you did the mic drop here. For me, it's always been about the people at the vicinity of the Pentagon. These are the same people that like to rely on eyewitnesses in the World Trade Center who say they heard an explosion. That means there were bombs in the building, right? Exactly. So I think there's a little bit of a discrepancy here. What is more noticeable about hearing an explosion and thinking it's a bomb? Well, we don't know. Well, I'm not dismissing that there were bombs, right? But how do you mistake a 767 for anything else? A 767,
especially a silver plane.
I mean, it's huge. It's a
sticks out like a sore thumb.
Thing. It's a large inanimate object crashing into the Pentagon. How do you mistake that? Like, it wasn't a cookie that crashed into the Pentagon. You can't mistake a plane for anything else. Not even a drone, right? They don't make drones that big.
No.
So what do we use? And I like that you brought up the method of investigation, right? Because this has always been an anal point for me. And I used to like to think that when you look at 9/11 or you look at specific incidents about 9/11, you employ the scientific method. That's what any investigator would do. Isn't that what Richard Gage just said in the previous interview about Kevin Ryan being a real gumshoe investigator? Well, what is the scientific method, right? One, you make an observation. So an investigator goes to the Pentagon. What does he see? Well, there's a building on fire. There's plane debris outside the Pentagon. It's also inside the Pentagon. Second, ask a question. What happened here? Who did this? How did this happen? Right? 3, form a hypothesis or a testable explanation. You go and interview the people who were there, who saw the crime. Why am I going to interview people like Craig McKee or Christopher Boland? They weren't there. I'm going to interview people who actually saw a crime happening. Like you just said, Darin, I'm going to interview the 86 people who saw an American Airlines plane crash into the Pentagon. 4, make a prediction based on a hypothesis. So after collecting all the evidence, taking all the eyewitness testimonies, you test the hypothesis to see if the hypothesis is true. That's number 5. You test the prediction. And then 6, you reiterate. Use the results to make a new hypothesis or prediction. And that's the scientific method. And guess who employed the scientific method? David Chandler and Wayne Costi, right? Mm-hmm. So that's what they did. But no, instead of, trusting their results, you went and vilified those people. That's what you did. Maybe not you, Richard Gage, but the people that you support in an interview, like Barbara Honegger and Craig McKee. Now, as for where are the engines for Adam Eisenberg, I'm going to play a clip for you, right? This is a plane test clip that, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to play it right away. So this is a plane test clip that was done years ago. And this is what would happen to a plane crashing into a wall.
Time for a new test using an F-4 Phantom jet. The US government wanted to test what would happen if a plane crashed into the concrete walls of a nuclear power station. The jet sets off, bolted to a track to prevent takeoff. It's doing 500 miles an hour.
500 miles an hour. Almost. Look at that. Almost the same as flight 530. Look at this.
The plane atomized with the impact. It just disappeared into dust. Only the tips of the wings escaped total destruction.
There you go.
But the wall...
It would be similar to that. But by the way, that explosion is similar to the explosion that you saw on a security camera, just a lot bigger because, that was carrying, 11,000 gallons of fuel. This is not carrying that much fuel. But you could see, look at the plane. It atomizes into a wall. All right?
But the thing is we're worried about
what would happen. And
but we're talking about plane parts.
We're going to be joined with Sean Russell. He's coming on in because we actually invited Sean to come in. Glad he's here. He's going to help us be a part of the video. Hey, Sean, we're recording, and we're just talking about the very first clip about Gage and Adam Eisenberg, about why there's no engine crashing into why there was no whole engine found at the Pentagon. And by the way, Sean, you are sideways.
See if I can adjust my video here.
Adjust it for the viewer themselves and get on erect. Not literally, by the way, but I got to keep it G-rated before I get a second strike.
No, it's like first 15 minutes. Yeah, first.
Yeah.
So before Sean gets on, and that's the thing that we need to be talking about is not talking about why that debris is not left over. Why isn't? We need to talk about the eyewitnesses. Talk about the lamp poles. Talk. I mean, the lamp poles. This is the thing with a 757 plane. It's 124 feet wide with the wings and everything. Well, in order for those to clip the light poles, they had to be 100 feet or more. So right there's another evidence that a plane was heading towards the Pentagon. But what we usually get from truthers is the lamp poles were planted or this and that or some kind of kooky thing.
Right.
So it's almost to me like they want it to be a conspiracy. They want something other than the official story, because the official story hurts them so bad. They can't believe anything the government puts out.
Right.
It has to be something out of this world, such as a missile or SWAT planes,
right,
or explosives.
Right, and this is the underlying problem with the truth movement right here that you just stated, is that the official narrative of having planes hijacked by fundamentalists is to be opposed at all costs, no matter how ridiculous, outlandish the theory is, because at least it contradicts the official narrative. Now, as for what you talk about, down light poles, they're planted there overnight. That's what Citizens Investigation Team proposes. Craig Ranke, Aldo Marquis, Dominic DiMaggio.
Oh,
So
and I wonder why they're not relevant no more.
Yeah, right. The
This is
last,
what I'm-
what,
this is
11,
exactly
12
what I'm
years,
talking about,
right?
guys.
Right, exactly right. You know, and also, too, it goes back to your point about why these people are not relevant anymore, is that they keep propagating the same things over and over. And they, people just start to get bored because they don't learn anything new.
Exactly.
And I think that's another problem of fringe conspiracy theorists in the truth movement. And yeah, this is look. I mean, Adam Eisenberg and Richard Gage. By the way, I'll put Eisenberg to the side. Richard Gage, you are a architect, okay? So you're a skilled person in a skilled line of work. You can't understand how a whole engine can't survive a plane at 538 miles an hour with 11,000 gallons of fuel is going to survive? Do you think actually a whole body, which is 90% water, liquid, is going to survive? I mean, for God's sakes, just use common sense. And just because, we're propagating that, yes, there are planes that were hijacked. Yeah, we are against the official narrative overall because there's more to it. But you got to get over that hump.
Exactly.
And this may not be a message for Richard Gage and Adam Eisenberg in general, but for the people that follow these people, in that they propagate beliefs and we're only propagating the evidence. Exactly. So, we could show physical, technical, eyewitness data to you. But then if you're going to say all this evidence is planted or manipulated and that the eyewitnesses are basically in on it or coerced, hey, guess what? You don't have the luxury of just saying it. Now you got to prove it.
Yeah,
because guess what? If you could prove that, hey, you got all of us in this room to be on board with you.
Exactly.
Because we're wrong. That's all we want to know. We want to know what's right instead of believing what's right.
Exactly.
Right? So, all right, this second clip is going to be, again, Adam Eisenberg, Richard Gage, and, I'm sorry. Yeah, this is going to be Adam Eisenberg and Richard Gage, and I'm going to play this clip, and let's see what they have to say.
So, what quite to make of this? And
I'm sorry, I've got extensive time on site, and even for the longest time, I didn't know what to make of it. It truly made very little sense.
Okay, and the other question I had is, if that was a path of the plane, did you follow it to where it was said to have gone out, i.e. the exit hole? And did you see the exit hole?
So been on the path, did not ever go down right into the exit hole. But, I will say, if a plane hit that building and went that far into the building, it would leave a path. And I spent 240 hours on site, point blank. Want to tell you, never saw anything that remotely even looked like a damage path. What you're looking at right now, and we're going to show some more pictures, it is really it. I mean, I would love to have had a camera, and there were people in my unit. Unfortunately, I can't name names because people coming out is a decision that they have to make for themselves. Believe me, I'm working on it. But people said the same thing. Where was this damage path? So
you mean to the left, you didn't see a tunnel created by something like a plane that led to an exit hole at all?
No.
What did you see over there?
And I'll show you a picture, but it's yeah. I mean, what you're seeing right here is pretty much kind of the details. I mean, every single spot where the plane allegedly went right down into the building. This right here is showing. I mean, if the plane hit, it would have came at an angle just like this. Here we are. Why are there no scrapes up on the ceilings? Where is any of it? There was just a lot of damage. It was very obvious that, fires had been breaking out. They had been kind of going throughout the.
Okay, so I'm going to stop right there. Sean, I mean, what is the problem here? I mean, look, he's telling you that this doesn't look like what it seems like. But to me, and I think to Darin here and yourself, I think it's pretty obvious what's going on here.
It looks like a plane crashed through the building. I don't even know what he's going on about, how he says he can't understand what's going on here. It doesn't even make sense. Scratches on the ceiling? Well, what about all the rest of the destruction?
I mean, by the way, just by looking at this picture, if you didn't know what was happening here, I mean, all you have to do is take a look at the path of the damage, right? So,
Absolutely.
Darin and Sean, you can see for yourself. These are the beams that are holding up the building, okay? This is the first floor, by the way, okay? Look at the shape of the beams. Look at the shape of the debris. Look at how everything is bent inward, because here's the impact hole. You can see the daylight.
There's the daylight coming through. Came in there.
I honestly think Eisenberg makes a case that a plane did hit.
That's ironic.
I think he makes a case that a plane actually hit there. Because look at the damage. I don't know. I don't have any explanation. It's like
is
Sean
he
said.
expecting okay, because we were talking about this in our pre video yesterday about scratches on the roof. Now, okay, what he's expecting is the plane's entire nose and the roof of the plane has reached this far into the building. So that means it didn't explode on impact. It just traveled straight in the middle of the first floor of the Pentagon. Boy, that is just a cartoonish scenario for him, almost similar to what I said yesterday about Wile E. Coyote going through the mountain and leaving, himself a perfect, a hole of his body going through, and he's just coming out the other side all black and with eyeballs. As Sean
I don't think this is a good picture to prove that a plane did not hit.
Right. I mean, God's sake, what else would do this damage?
Exactly.
And, I mean, you can see it's all bowed inward. And by the way, he does take care to mention that he was not in this area. So if he's not in this area, how could he not know what's not happening here or what isn't found here? Because he does claim that there was no plane debris found here. In light of the overwhelming amount of first responders from like Fairfax, Montgomery counties, who all worked in the search and rescue, as well as the FBI, who are basically putting these colored flags on human remains and different colored flags on plane debris.
Right.
So, and there are hundreds of these people, by the way. And so, what are we to make of this? Who am I supposed to listen to? Am I supposed to listen to Adam Eisenberg, who claims no plane happened here, even though he didn't work in this area? Or am I going to listen to the dozens and dozens of people who actually worked in all various units from the state and federal offices who were involved in the search and rescue?
Right. I agree with you.
I mean, really, I agree. I think, Darin, you're going to be right. This was a terrible picture to prove that a plane didn't crash here.
Yes.
I
would have showed the C ring.
the round hole, right?
I would show the round hole over this.
But then again, wouldn't that be a bad picture? Because there's a piece of the fuselage and landing gear right there too.
I know. I know, but you might be able to get Gage to take the bait on that one.
Right. You know what? It goes back to you raised a point before about why he didn't interview, people that were, certain people that were there and, in charge of all functions. I got lucky. And, I obtained an interview with James Schwartz, the Pentagon incident commander. And I'm the only person in 9/11, I guess, truth or movements or groups or whatever, what do you want to call it. I'm the only person to have an interview. Now, he's done lectures and he's done talks, but he's never talked to a person who's invested with 9/11 on a podcast before. And I'm like, really? You never? He goes, no, never happened. And let me just play a clip for you guys just to show you why nobody reached out to him. And that's because of the following. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play this clip. And this is from a lecture he did back in 2015 at I forgot, it was in Virginia. But I'm just going to play the clip. And this will just show you the problem of why nobody spoke to this guy.
The images taken from the security cameras on the west side of the Pentagon at 9:37 in the morning on September 11th. Now, of course, this comes following both of the airplanes in the World Trade Center, but ahead of the Shanksville crash. I will tell you, and I'll show you images that will hopefully, confirm in your minds that this is in fact a passenger jetliner. There are still people out there who believe that this was something else. In fact, it's not too hard to find on the internet a call for my arrest. Some of these theorists have written letters to just about every member of the United States government saying that my FBI colleague, who was part of our command, and myself are complicit in the deaths of 184 people, and that we should be tried for a variety of things.
Right there.
Wow.
Now, when I interviewed him, and he gave me a little bit more detailed background on that. So back in 2000, and I think it was 6 or 7, he started getting letters from people from the truth movement, by the way. These fringe, not everybody in the truth movement believes in these fringe conspiracies, by the way. So these fringe conspiracists in the truth movement basically wrote letters to the attorney general in Virginia asking for his arrest. Now, the FBI guy that he's talking about is Chris Combs. He's in charge of the FBI for search and rescue at the Pentagon. So they were calling for their arrest. Not only that, James Schwartz told me something I had no idea, is that they tried to sue him in court, him and Chris Combs, as well as Dick Cheney, George Bush, and everybody else, saying that they were complicit in hiding evidence of something else happening at the Pentagon. Now you know why nobody talks to these people. And, I did Richard Gage a favor. I mean, you guys were there in the war room when he asked me, he goes, could you reach out to James Schwartz? Or was that you, Darin? Was that
I
you?
asked him that. He's like,
You
he got
asked
like
him
this.
that, okay.
He got like this notepad out, like he was gonna, and then take his name down and everything. And then, of course, you reached out to Mr. Schwartz, and he declined.
Yeah, he did. Well, he found out much about Richard Gage online,
Yeah,
and can't
exactly.
say that I blame him. I mean, my God, Sean, I raised my hand. I don't even know what to think anymore.
Horrible. What
Yeah,
a
I mean,
horrible thing to do. And self-damaging also. It's really, that doesn't help anyone's case. Even if they're right, they're wrong for going about things that way.
Right. Yeah, I would agree. Now, okay, we're not putting words in Gage's mouth here, okay? There are going to be people, well, Adam, Darin, Sean, you can't blame Richard Gage. He's only interviewing these people. He's not believing these things. Well, not exactly, guys. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to play another clip. And this was actually taken during an interview with Art Olivier, who basically is a former mayor. I don't even know Art Olivier. I gotta blame Nelson and Ed for actually Nelson Martin's DJ Thermal Detonator, our Lord and Savior of 9/11 research. So he told me about Art. I had no idea. And I said, I'll never forgive you for this. So Art Olivier is somebody who wrote a film. I forgot the name of the film. Darin, do you know the film?
No.
John, he did a film.
It was so bad, I can't remember.
Yeah, it was a
film's name.
film. So he doesn't believe a plane crash in Shanksville, the Pentagon, and whatnot. But this was during an interview that he did, Richard Gage, and I asked a question, and the question went like this. I told Richard Gage, if there are no hijackers on any of these planes, then the NSA, the CIA, the DIA, and Israeli Mossad, and Saudi JID, who are actually monitoring these people, these operations don't exist, because who are they following if there's no hijackers, right?
Exactly.
Okay. Richard Gage specifically answered that question to me, but I'm going to take the whole clip because Art Olivier actually answers the question, but doesn't really answer the question. So I'll just play the clip.
Here we go.
If there are no hijackers on planes, that means the CIA, NSA.
Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot to share the screen. Now I look
There you
like me. When you're 52, you start getting dementia. I can't wait.
He says if there are no hijackers on planes, that means the CIA, NSA, and the Israeli Mossad on the Saudi and the Saudis were not monitoring the hijackers. So who do we blame for 9/11?
By the way, there's a plane there. So
Art, I'll let you take that first, and I've got some comments on that one.
So the intelligence agencies. So it was, from my research, all intelligence agencies work together.
Disagree.
And so I think you know, in the movie, of course, we have the CIA takes the lead role in the 9/11 attacks.
Just to add to that, first of all, he's wrong. All the intelligence agencies didn't work together, and that's another reason why 9/11 was allowed to happen in the first place. Because the NSA didn't share everything with the CIA or the FBI. The CIA didn't share everything with the NSA or the FBI or State Department. And the State Department and FBI basically had vague information from everywhere. So nobody was sharing information with everybody. And the information that was sharing was kind of vague and didn't help anybody. So right off the bat, Art Olivier is wrong. Right off.
We know that the FBI was a little bit involved. One of the scenes that we have in the movie was when the FBI agents in Minnesota started getting suspicious of this, Zacharias Moussaoui.
Why did you bring up Moussaoui and not Midar and Hazmi?
Okay, Sean, could you repeat that?
Why does he bring up Moussaoui instead of Midar and Hazmi?
That's a good question.
Right. It's a good, you know, the answer he gives, we saw this yesterday. The answer he gives has no relevancy to my question, by the way. None whatsoever.
None. Started making connections into some of the other terrorist attacks, and they didn't want, the FBI headquarters didn't want Zacharias Moussaoui to be arrested. And
no, no, that's not true. Darin, what happened here? So yesterday you were talking about Harry Samet trying to get a FISA warrant.
Yeah, so what he's talking to is Harry Samet was the FBI person in charge. He's the one that was called in by the Pan Am officials, Tim Nelson, Hugh Sims, because there's some you know, about Moussaoui and some characteristics, and he tried to get a FISA warrant because they want to search his laptop and they want to search, you know, his other things, but he wouldn't let them. It's funny here as the video goes on, they don't bring up Hussein Alatas, is who Moussaoui traveled with from Oklahoma to Minnesota. Now Alatas let the FBI search his car, and they found two knives, and they found some like martial arts gear on there as well. It's funny they don't mention him at all, but probably because they don't know. But like I said, Samet tried to get a FISA warrant. It was blocked by the RFU unit with Mike Maltby, Marion Spike Bowman, and Dave Frasca. Basically, they said they didn't have enough evidence to prove he was a terrorist. But even French intelligence even told them, like, hey, this guy has been hanging around with extremes over there, and that even Osama bin Laden. So they had the evidence. They just kept, you know, basically blocking the end of it. And that's what Samet was, you know, basically having a problem with. He wrote over, I think, 70 some emails begging to search the laptop. Colleen Rowley, who was also a lawyer in the FBI, got involved. And her words were unheard as well. So unfortunately, a bad situation. It just Art Olivier doesn't explain it well.
Great explanation too. And by the way, Art Olivier, what he just proposed was that the FBI didn't allow Moussaoui to be arrested. That's not necessarily true.
That's not true either,
what Darin just told you was exactly right.
The head of the anti-terrorism group out of Washington, D.C. gave the agents in Minnesota direct orders not to arrest Zacharias Moussaoui, and they did it.
No, that's not true. I don't even know where he got that from, right? So I can't say that he's lying or that he's misinformed, because I don't know where he got that.
I think he's misinformed. I
would
truly
agree.
think
he
he's
probably heard wrong information.
Yeah, he heard
wrong. He seems pretty sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Because I don't like calling people liars for no reason.
Right.
So we'll just play it safe and say he's misinformed
anyway.
Yes.
And so after he was arrested, the FBI wouldn't allow the agents or anybody else to look at Zacharias Moussaoui's laptop.
Now that's not true, because Darin just explained that they were arguing about the legalities of the FISA warrant, in which, as Darin just pointed out, that there was enough information provided by French intelligence regarding Zacharias Moussaoui and his links to a high-profile terrorist in France called Abu Hamza al-Masri, and he's known by his hook. He has a hook instead of a hand. And I think maybe he has, he has one hook.
It might be two.
Might be two, right? Something like that. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, and actually, he's inside the United States doing life, I believe, or something like that. But yeah, there was enough intelligence. This months and months prior. So they had enough for the FISA warrant. And that's what Rowley went to the Senate Committee on Intelligence and basically argued, saying that the FBI should have allowed the radical fundamentalist unit that Darin brought up, should have just basically said, yeah, we have enough, we can get a FISA warrant.
Afraid that might lead them to the other terrorists that were, the patsies that were going to be involved in 9/11. So, we do have evidence of intelligence agencies being involved.
That had
no
bearing.
Swing and a miss.
Right. No.
Adam, where's your?
I forgot about it. Oh, damn.
You deserve a strike for that one.
Yeah, I deserve a strike. But by the way, no relevance to my question. I said that the intelligence agencies basically don't exist. Their operations involving with these hijackers don't exist if you don't believe in hijackers, right? If you don't believe in hijackers, what's Moussaoui's role in 9/11? There is no hijacking team for him to be a part of, okay? So all this, what Art Olivier just told you, doesn't matter. And, don't take it from our word for it. We'll provide you the information and whatnot if you want to look at it. I mean, it's public that the CIA intentionally withheld information from the FBI about hijackers living inside the United States. Now, I've done a number of videos recently about the latest cache of files from the FBI from Operation Encore and Pentagon that showed that there were Saudi operatives inside the United States that were unaware. The FBI was unaware of them. But guess who was aware? The CIA was aware. And maybe even the NSA. I can't prove it, but the NSA, who was wiretapping, Bin Laden's satellite phone from 1992 to 98, and then a house in Yemen, which was the Al-Qaeda communications hub from 96 to 2001. So what were they talking about on those phones? That's what I'd like to know. So,
and that's Ahmed Al-Hada. That's your Khalid Al-Midar connection. Why is he bringing up Moussaoui? It's like a whole other thing. Not a very strong argument.
I love this point that you raised because he's not involved in the attacks. I mean, he was supposed to be in the second wave of attacks. That's according to him, right? He's not tortured. So according to him, he's in a second wave of attacks. But what does this have to do with the initial wave of attacks? Well, that's right. You don't believe in that because you don't believe in hijackers or hijacked planes. And that was my whole argument all over for the question. So what does Richard Gage say?
Well, yeah, that's like all over the place. And I was glad to see you. I didn't know that was an accurate historical part of the record that you included in your film.
I didn't know that either.
It's not. It's not, Richard.
Historical.
Right.
What was interesting is the actor that played the FBI agent, Harry Samet, I think it is. He one of his lines was, we got to stop these terrorists before they run a plane in 747 into the World Trade Center. And the actor's like, I don't really want to say that because that's just so far fetched. And I go, no, you got to say it because that's actual testimony from the FBI agents. They said that.
That's not right, is it? I don't believe they said that.
No.
World Trade?
In fact, he's got it all mixed up, right? So he's attributing things to the specific FBI agent in Harry Samet. He didn't mention that. It was a warning that was which emanated out of Phoenix about wanting to use planes because they wrote the Phoenix memo, right? That's Ken Williams, but yeah, that's where that warning came from. And on the forward of the letter of the Phoenix memo, it went to Minneapolis, New York, Dallas, a number of different headquarters. But it was like 10 different headquarters with specific names involved that this letter had went to. And so that's where this warning came about. So I don't even know if Art Olivier is like knowledgeable about the Phoenix memo. So I can't say he's doing this intentionally. He's wrong. I'll agree with you guys. He's just misinformed.
Yeah,
That's
you
all.
did include that. So, so my comment on this is the 9/11 Truth Movement does not need authentic hijackers on the planes in control of the planes. It does not need hijackers on the planes who themselves may have been hijacked by remote controlled planes. It does not depend on any hijackers or anybody else for that matter on the planes that hit or missed their targets. There's plenty of proof of remote control technology, as you.
No, there's no proof that they were on the planes. Now, look, I'll agree with you that the technology existed pre 9/11. Okay, Boeing uninterruptible autopilot certainly did exist, but in 2006, Boeing bought the patent and didn't employ it yet. In fact, no plane as of now still has that technology on any of the planes, for fear that a malfunction could happen and that they could lose control of the plane and it would crash. So it's not reliable safety. They have to go through safety measures and security measures whatsoever, right? So they still haven't employed this technology. Secondly, I know Dan Hanley, who's actually part of 911pilots.org, the guy who's a former pilot, makes this claim that the planes could have been controlled remotely on the ground. Something that I would say that is a reasonable speculation, but it's not proven, okay? There's a difference between belief and knowledge, is that there's like you can't use speculation as a form of evidence. I'm sorry, even though that the speculation is reasonable, you got to show that it was on these planes. Now, that would also, you got to also admit that if, remote control technology existed, Flight 93 would have hit a target. Or as Darin said, in previous videos, 175 would have never tried to crash into two other planes and almost missed the South Tower. And I think your biggest point, Darin, was that the Pentagon, where it actually did a loop. Well, if it was remote control technology, this is what sold me, what you said, was that it wouldn't have made that loop to begin with. They would just hit right into the Pentagon flawlessly. Am I right?
Yeah, correct. And going back to 175 is you got to think it almost collided with two airplanes. I believe one was Delta 2315, and this is from Nelson's film, the Boston Logan Airport cover-up. And I think the other one was like Midwest Express 7 or something like that. They interviewed the passengers afterwards, and they were scared to death. They thought they were going to hit Flight 175. So, and you got to remember too, Flight 75 almost missed its target. Listen, I'm not going to say absolutely not, but I think the evidence proves that it didn't have that. They were not using uninterruptible autopilot system.
Right, and
there's definitely more evidence against than there is. There's no evidence for it.
Yeah, and
you know what? That's where I think in Hanley's defense, if he's going to make the claim that could have been, as long as you're clear that could have been is the case that you're making, I think a lot of people get the notion that it was used. And it's because of a sort of speculative argument on Hanley's part that it could have been. And other people are interpreting that as that it's for sure, when there is no evidence that there was. And as Darin has pointed out with those great topics that he brings up about the planes almost missing. And how about, wasn't it Flight 93 was really far away from a target for a good time before it turned around and went towards a target? There's so much evidence against it.
That's a good point, Sean. That's a good point. Yeah. I also too have called out Dan Hanley on social media about it and asked him numerous times, like, hey, if you believe this, can you explain these? What I'm trying to, these speculations you have. Can you explain, hey, why did Flight 77 do what it did? Why did 175, almost miss its target? Flight 93 crash. He never responds to me. So I would think if you're promoting it, he would want to say, hey, yeah, no, I can explain this, but he wouldn't do it. So.
Right. And that's, to me, it's a big red flag. I mean, why wouldn't he want to explain to you about how this technology could have been implemented on these planes? So to me, I mean, I'm going to leave it open for now. Maybe he'll reach out or not. But again, I'll ask you two guys, Darin, Sean, what made Richard Gage the arbiter of the truth movement, where he could declare and say that the truth movement as a whole, and he's represented the truth movement here, basically saying that we don't depend on hijackers, when that's not true. I mean, there are people in the truth movement that know the planes were hijacked. So, I mean, this is a very, bold declaration he's making, don't you think?
Yeah. Very, very authoritative
Yes.
is the tone coming across. And I disagree. The strongest argument, what is our most advancement in a legal case is Kreindler and Kreindler for the victims' families against Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. And that's because of the direct links with the hijackers.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a great point. But he keeps digging. Yeah, go.
No, I just want to say about authentic hijackers. I don't know what he's trying to get by that, but what I'm trying to say is he must think the phone calls are fake.
Yeah, by default. Right.
Yeah. So if you believe the phone calls are fake, does that mean you believe like the passengers are fake or the families are in on it? So
Great
now
questions.
when you propose authentic hijackers or don't really think they're necessary to believe in or this and that, you're open a whole can of worms of a conspiracy, because now you got to explain, the family's in on it. The phone calls are fake. The government agencies are making them do the phone calls or force, coercion on doing the phone calls. Now you're opening up a whole new conspiracy that you cannot back it up with.
Absolutely. That's just as Ed Brotherton points out, you can't account for these things.
Exactly. Why make it a bigger conspiracy than what it already is?
Darin, this is a huge point you're making here, because first of all, this is called the backwards point of view regarding fringe conspiracy theorists, in that if there's no hijackers, there are fake phone calls. The phone calls are fictitious. That would mean that the passengers don't exist, the pilots don't exist, okay? That means the conspiracy, as Darin just said, and he's right, is so much bigger, because now, who do we involve? We involve American Airlines, United Airlines, the victims' families, the National Transportation Safety Board, who transcribed the data,
The phone company,
the
the
FBI.
GTA air phone companies.
Yeah, you name it. All the first responders that were involved with the collection of plane debris and human remains at New York, in Washington, and in Pennsylvania. And these are all public servants. These are not all federal servants. They're people from, nearby firehouses or nearby EMS, emergency medical systems. You have thousands of people. In fact, in Washington, D.C. alone, at the time, it was the biggest investigation in the city's history. It was over 1,200 people. And at one point, James Schwartz said there were at least approximately 5,000 people at one point working at certain areas of the Pentagon in different functions. I mean, that's incredible. Just imagine New York. I couldn't tell you how many people would be there. It's in the thousands. So now you got to make sure all these people, go in line, stick with the story. And how do you do that?
You can't do it because it's not real. This is not fantasy. This is reality. And this is the thing that makes me so mad about 9/11 truthers and people like Gage. Gage is a highly educated man, architect. And what he's doing for promoting no hijackers or they're not authentic or this and that. What a disrespectful thing to say to the families. It is so disrespectful. And I always tell truthers this ain't about us. This ain't about me, you, Sean, Nelson, nobody. This is about the families.
That's right.
And to say that, like with Flight 93, to say, they weren't heroes, they were fake. That's so disrespectful. That actually pisses me off. And that's why I get so heated, because it's like, you guys rather believe something so far out that it's a movie from Jerry Bruckheimer. You know what I mean? It's like it's a movie, but you can't comprehend oh yeah, okay. I don't trust the government, but they're telling the truth about this, because we got the evidence, right? The phone calls, the debris, flight data recording. We got everything. We got all these evidence to prove that these planes hit where they hit.
Right.
And to just say that they, especially for no planers, and I engage as no planer in my book, I don't care what anybody says, is the most disrespectful thing you can do. You can do to in the movement, and it's a shame.
Yeah, I can't. There's nothing more I could add to that. So, no, he doesn't reach a new low. He keeps going. So let him talk.
Showed in your film, but as many other researchers, including Aidan Monahan, who will be our guest on Thursday in 2 days.
Yeah. So there was about a half a dozen of the terrorists that ran these planes into these buildings that came out after 9/11 said, no, I didn't do it.
Oh my. Okay,
Man,
You guys can have that one.
Okay, now I didn't plan on doing this, but what I'll do is I'll share the that meme that Nelson made and he sent to me a while back. And
that's a great meme.
Yeah, this is it's such an important informative meme that I'm going to share it because I want to show like people who are watching this video that it's not living hijackers. It's people who have a similar sounding name to the hijackers. So here, for example, Saeed Al-Ghamdi, the one that was coming out to the press was, I'll even blow it up more. Saeed Al-Ghamdi, he's actually alive in Tunisia, he's a pilot. One in particular that's on the BBC front page, Walid al-Sheri. Well, this is different. It's Walid Ahmed al-Sheri. One thing about Arabic names is that they have similar sounding names.
Yeah.
Okay. So he had a brother, Wael al-Sheri. Well, he basically, by the way, the father even admitted that both of the sons are dead and that the last time they heard from them was Afghanistan in 2000 and that they were leaving for Afghanistan. Never heard from them again. Another proponent, a huge name, Abdulaziz Al-Amari. Well, there is an Abdulaziz Al-Amari. There's two of them. Abdul Rahman Al-Amari, who came out to the BBC and said he was alive. Yeah, he's a pilot, Saudi Arabia. Notice the different name, Rahman, Abdul Rahman, Abdul Aziz Al-Amari. Well, there is an Abdul Aziz Al-Amari. He's alive in Saudi Arabia. Do they look alike?
Nope.
I mean, this is who the BBC reported on. All of these people here, except for, Khalid Al-Midar. Look, R.S. Al-Midar. I mean, nothing looking like this guy. Nothing. So,
Are these the men on the airport security video? No, very obviously not.
Yeah.
I didn't see a bald spot. So, yeah, I just want to share that and just, we'll go back to the video. But yeah, I mean, again, you guys just ran with the opposite of the official narrative, even though this is actually debunked in seconds.
Repeating a mistake, even the same mistake that the journalist had made.
Right, exactly, because they actually saw the name and said, well, wait a minute, now there's something wrong, not knowing that they have similar sounding names. Just so that you didn't take my word for it, I just wanted to show you.
Yeah, they're interviewed on the BBC.
How can they come out and say they didn't do it if they were suicide,
Yeah, okay. Here's a common sense question. Why ain't the Truth Movement interviewing currently? Why, if they're alive for the past 21 years, what's stopping Richard Gage from reaching out to Khalid Al-Midar right now? Or Nawaf al-Hazmi, or Saeed Al-Ghamdi, or Ahmed al-Hasnawi, or any other 19, right? What about anybody else in the last 20 years? People, just use your head. Living hijackers. Imagine the biggest operation in history. And off the script, they're going to announce that the hijackers are alive. It doesn't. Sure, Darin, I don't even know what to make of it. I mean, imagine that.
Well, unless you think that they didn't think this whole thing through.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Exactly.
And those records were never corrected by the FBI. I mean, that's my birthday. That's me. But I'm not a hijacker.
Well, no, Richard, the FBI didn't say that. I don't know where you got that from. And yeah, it's not part of the historical record, guy. In fact, in 2006, actually, the BBC made a retraction article because of the last 5 years. They were overwhelmed with letters from the public saying that they were in on it because they announced World Trade Center 7 was coming down 20 minutes early and that the hijackers are alive. And so they even admitted in the retraction article saying, we made the mistake of not discerning between the names of the people calling in saying they were alive and the hijackers' names.
Whatever they said. Anyway, my point here is that you've got intelligence agencies who have imported hijackers from Saudi Arabia, as described by Michael Springman, who was a State Department official, under whose noses he said the CIAs keep bringing all these shady characters in without going through the proper checks, which was his job to properly check them, and he was being bypassed. And they're.
I can add a little bit to this, right? And I hate stopping it every second, but it's actually informative. J. Michael Springman was a U.S. consular officer out of the Jeddah consular office, right? And a lot of these muscle hijackers had incomplete applications. They didn't know, for example, they didn't know who they were meeting, how much money they had, if they had jobs, whether their plans. So a lot of these, even some of their names, were spelled wrong or whatnot. And so what happened was, in the United States, they had a program called the Visa Express program for Saudi Arabia, where they didn't want to offend, our ally in Saudi Arabia. And so they had an express program for S1 student visas or tourist visas, where they basically didn't have to go through any extra scrutiny for for a country like Afghanistan or Pakistan, which is known for extremism. Shouldn't Saudi Arabia be up there? Anyway, these guys basically were put on hold. So Springman put these applications on hold, but he was overridden by somebody who worked in I forgot the name of the department, but the name of the person is Shania Steiger, who overruled him and said, no, these applications are going to be approved. And at first, she made a claim, because I posted on my WordPress where the FBI interviewed her, and she said that she was working alone and that she was inexperienced, and there was a number, hundreds of applications that were on hold, and she just didn't vet them properly. And it just turns out later that Steiger had contacts with the CIA, basically. And this is not a wild conspiracy, because even during the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan, we were pushing millions of dollars through the Pakistan ISI to fund these, radical jihadists, especially in the Arab jihadists, not so much the Afghans. But later on, they became, groups like Abu Sayyaf and the Egyptian Islamic Jihad. I'm sorry, not Jama Islamiyah, and Boko Haram and all these other groups, Al Qaeda, basically. So yeah, I mean, it's not a crazy conspiracy, but Richard Gage is wrong.
Put in flight schools for show, so that they can say, well, they went to flight school. But even the flight instructors, tell us about that particular scene with the flight instructor.
Yeah, so the the flight instructors call the FBI. They call the FBI in Minnesota, and they said that we've got this guy, Zacharias Moussaoui. He says he's an English businessman, but he knows Arabic a lot better than he knows English, and he paid in all cash for the school. And he says, the thing about this is when somebody comes in here and pays this much money to learn how to fly a commercial jet, they at least have a pilot's license. They know how to fly a small plane or something like this. But this guy knows nothing, and so that's why they got suspicious and called the FBI. And that's when one of the characters said, if this guy gets a hold of a 747 and flies it into a populated area, he's going to kill a boatload of people, man. And,
no. He said a fully loaded 747 is like a bomb.
Yes,
stop.
That's right.
How do you miss that?
Well, I mean, there's a lot that they missed over this. There's just this clip itself.
Actual testimony from the FBI agents.
And then those FBI agents went after Moussaoui. They arrested him against the order of their boss in the FBI, and that's all accurate, and it's included in your film, right?
Well, no, that's not accurate, Darin. I mean,
you explained it, but yeah.
I mean, oh my God, no, nobody said don't arrest him.
He overstayed his visa.
Right, that's right.
That's why he was. That's why he was detained. He wasn't arrested for terrorist activity. He was detained for an overstay of his visa.
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought that. This is huge, right? So yes, he wasn't arrested. He was detained for overstaying his visa. That's correct. That's right, because he wasn't arrested for a crime yet.
No.
And the reason why
That's why that's why they got suspicious. That's why they try to get the FISA warrant.
Bingo.
But the RFU unit over there in DC said, no, not enough evidence. You guys, we don't see him as a terrorist.
Right.
This and that. So yeah, it wasn't arrested. Just, he went to flight school, pay cash. Let's arrest him. That's what they're making it out to be. No,
right. I can't understand. Yeah. No.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So Colleen Rowley, I think her name was, and I think she was on the cover of Time magazine as one of the whistleblowers.
Yeah.
But she was Harry Samet's boss at the.
Well, no, that's not true. Darin?
No, Harry Samet's boss was marrying Spike Bowman.
That's right.
At the RFU unit there.
Colleen
Riley was she was a lawyer.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, he can't even get basics right.
Can't even get it right.
The time when that the arrest of Zacharias Masawi was going on.
And who's Harry
She's
Stamets?
not the one that told him not to arrest him. It was the headquarters in.
Who's Harry Stamets?
Stamets.
Harry
was the actual
Stamets.
agent.
Harry
that
Sandwich.
Zacharias.
Harry Sandwich.
And Colleen Rowley was his boss?
Colleen, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wow, I didn't realize that.
Right.
Okay. So anyway, and then you got Hani Hanjar, who was at another flight school, who failed Cessna flying school. And all of a sudden he's able to do this incredible maneuver with the 757 flying into the Pentagon, descending 8,000 feet in 3 minutes in a corkscrew turn.
Which, by the way, we did a video on this before. It wasn't that hard. It wasn't that hard.
No, he basically turned a plane around.
It's like turning a car.
He turned a plane around.
Right. How is that hard? I don't understand.
But my point here is that you have intelligence agencies setting up patsies who didn't even need to be on the planes. You can just provide whatever proof you want that they were. And even if they were, it doesn't matter because they're controlling the planes, they're controlling the patsies. The official story does not, the official story depends on the hijackers being in control of these planes and on them. But the 9/11 truth movement does not depend at all. We're not blaming the hijackers. We're blaming the real perpetrators.
Yeah, and that's right.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So we're not blaming the hijackers. Well, who killed all those people, Richard? Fake planes? Come on, you idiot. I'm sorry. Come on. Who killed those people? It was the hijackers. That's
You're gonna,
oh my God.
Right. Listen, you're going to make a charge like that. If you're not blaming the hijackers, if you're going to say the state is involved or the deep state or Illuminati or whatever.
Give me names.
Yes.
Give me suspects, Richard.
You better. You don't get
Give me
this.
something.
Listen, you don't,
give me something.
Hmm.
Jeez, what a.
I'll take anything. Listen, if you're going to make that charge, you better bring something tangible to the table. All right, these people are dead, but you don't get the convenience. I'm sorry, maybe in the truth movement you do, but you don't get the convenience to basically say my speculation or my incredulity to the evidence is enough. Well, no, there's going to be people like us who are basically going to hold you account for your statements. Okay, and it should have been done a long time ago.
I'm sick of the word patsies. Sick of the word.
Right, and you know what I was going to play? I was going to play these martyrdom videos that I have, but I got a strike for uploading Abdulaziz Al-Amari, so I don't want to get because it'll be a warning on this video.
No, the next video where they talk about 93. We'll get into that.
Yeah, right.
Patsies.
But and this is ridiculous, basically. So yeah, he ends it with this
of 9/11, who simply used those patsies. So this argument put forth again and again and again by this particular individual, Adam, is absolutely off the point, and I don't know why he keeps pushing it. but it is, I hear it like it's just this point. It's irrelevant.
No, it's not.
Oh.
Let me just clarify my point for the audience. Okay. We can name people who intentionally withheld information that could have stopped 9/11 partially. Okay. I'll be bold. In other words, I'll give the example. The CIA knew that there were 2 al-Qaeda subjects inside the United States, Khalid al-Mihdhar and Nawaf al-Hazmi. They were involved in some level with the bombing of the U.S. Cole and the 1990 East Africa bombings, and they served in the Chechen War. Okay. These guys were legitimate al-Qaeda members. The CIA knew about their existence, and they knew that they had U.S. visas. They knew they were coming to the United States. Now, the information was shared to them from Malaysian authorities, which was faxed to the Alex station, which is the Bin Laden issue station, codenamed Alex station. And the FBI, who were working there, like Mark Rossini and Doug Miller, saw the cable first and said, wow, we got to inform our headquarters in Washington about these 2 guys so we can get a monitor, like a detail on them. But they had to get authorization from the CIA because it's CIA information. What did the CIA do? Well, Deputy Chief of Alex Station, Tom Wilshire, told Yemen Chief Michelle Ann Casey to please hold off per Wilshire about sending the information. So the information wasn't sent. So Mark Rossini, who I've interviewed, basically said, hey, why are we sharing this information? These are al-Qaeda bad guys involved with 2 terrorist incidents. We got to inform the FBI. And what he was told by Michelle Ann Casey was this: it's not an FBI matter. We'll let the FBI know when it becomes a matter. But we think the next attack is in Malaysia or Southeast Asia. Now, if it's outside the United States, legally, the CIA is in charge. But if anything that's relating inside the United States, the Department of Justice is involved, because the CIA doesn't have any authority inside the United States when it comes to law. It's the FBI, federal matter. So as long as they can't share that information, that means nobody knew about it. So guess what? 2 hijackers of 9/11 are inside the United States living openly, and nobody knows about it. That's why it's relevant, Richard. And that's just one example. I'm not even going to mention Hamburg and, the Hamburg cell, the CIA, Israelis involved with that too, and all that. But by the way, Gage, to hone the point again, if there's no hijackers, what I just told you doesn't exist. That's why it's relevant. And that's why your answer is the reason why we're doing this video. Do I need to say anything anymore?
No.
I could go to the next point. All right, so by the way, for those who don't think that Richard Gage doesn't believe a plane hit the Pentagon, he did this video in 2009, which was a Discovery hour-long topic about what happened at the Pentagon. And in this video, you'll see there's Dylan Avery from Loose Change, one of the producers. This is Richard Gage in his prime years. And over here to the left, which you can't see yet, is David Ray Griffin.
Test is successful. Truthers may not be convinced.
There he is there.
Richard Gage finds the Pentagon aftermath pictures too confusing to use in any evaluation.
So whether an explosion made that hole or some flying device made that hole, I don't think you can make a relevant conclusion based on looking at the hole.
Why
can't it be both?
End it right there, okay? I can end it right there. What is Darin, Sean, help me out here. What the heck?
Go ahead, Sean.
Well, regarding the Pentagon, it's pretty cut and dry, in my opinion, because people like Ken Jenkins and Wayne Costi they've looked at all the evidence and everything corroborates. Obviously, a plane hit the Pentagon, and it's not even a big mystery. And we'll hear Gage is asking about how it needs to be one thing or the other, something flying or something exploding, but the fully loaded plane is flying and it's going to explode when it hits. It's almost like we're trying to avoid any kind of coherence with some of these things.
Does it need to be said, as Darin stated earlier in this video, we have 86 people that actually saw a plane. That's it. Now, if you're going to say that these people were wrong, or they're coerced, or they're in on it. Well, I don't want to hear what you think. Now you have to prove that they were doing that. Okay. And if you're going to say that the plane debris is planted, I mean, you can't just have the luxury of just saying it without proving it. That's a remarkable charge, and you better have remarkable evidence for it. And this is the problem with people like Richard Gage. He could basically say all of this without being challenged because nobody challenges him. I mean, the only people that challenged him were David Chandler, Wayne Costi, and Ken Jenkins, and look what happened to them. A large percentage of the fringe conspiracy movement in the truth movement vilified them, sent them death threats by email, told them they were shills. These are the people that helped build the truth movement. So I think there's a part of me, I don't know if you agree with it, Sean and Darin, that Richard Gage knows that and doesn't want to be vilified because the people he's trying to reach is where, and I'll play that last.
Yeah,
but,
I agree.
Yeah, I think that's the case with Richard Gage. And by the way, you brought up a great point yesterday about, here's a architect who doesn't know whether a plane had actually impacted the Pentagon because of a lack of plane debris and that the explosion didn't take place. It doesn't look like a plane. I mean, how do you make that assumption as an architect, a skilled man? I just don't get it. So I just wanted to let his own words prove to you that, yeah, he is a no plane.
Yep.
Just admits it. Okay. This next clip. This is from an interview Richard Gage did with Barbara Honegger and good old lovely Honey. All right. So Barbara Honegger is somebody who thinks that, yes, planes were hijacked, but they were swapped in midair. They landed at an airport and nobody knows what happened. Right. And so what's swapped for them were these drone airliners made to look like Boeing airliners of United and American. And that's what crashed into the Pentagon. But Honegger thinks that a plane crashed into the heliport and not into the Pentagon. And that what happened at the Pentagon was that a bomb exploded. Okay. And to prove that there was a swap, here's her proof. Okay. Oh, by the way, I'm losing my mind. I got to share the screen. So, yeah, here we go. By the way, take a close look.
I highly recommend this book as one of the best sources, if not the best source, on a very detailed expert analysis supporting the evidence of the plane, that the planes were swapped. Now, in this case, this author claims that it was more than just the World Trade Center 2 and the Pentagon plane. And this is a book, this is in Dutch, and I'm not sure I'm not going to be able to pronounce that, but he is from the Netherlands. That is his pen name, Dick Kalk. That is not his actual name. I do know his actual name. His first name is Frank, but you can order his book at the web address that is on there. And I'm now just holding up this huge book with all of these phenomenal maps in it and analysis. So it's a bit pricey because he self-published it and it's hard copy, but I highly recommend it for anyone who really wants to know what the real plot of 9/11 was.
The real plot.
Yeah, I'll go first. I'll go first. Where do I start? So this goes out to all 9/11 truthers. This right here is one of your leading members right here, Barbara Honegger. And Richard Gage endorses her. She's going off a book. I'm pretty sure she's being trolled. I don't know if she even realizes it. I'm surprised she didn't use her special powers to realize that she's being trolled by Dick Cock. So just think about that. I'm not even going to go into even more. I think that's self-explanatory for people with common sense. She's being trolled. And this is our leading person in the movement. This person believes the Flight 7 did not hit the Pentagon. Just let that sink in for a second. That's all I'm going to say.
I'm just going to go look at this. You see my mouse. You see what I'm scrolling at. That's who she's referring to. To anybody out there who says that, you know, I'm arrogant or I'm a shill, I'll give you that, right? I'm a shill. I'm working for the government. But I'm not supporting someone by the name of Dick Cock. If you can't tell at this lovely age of, what is she, 72 these years, maybe older, she's supporting somebody on the other side of the world where you don't know his real name, and yet this is going to be the best source of information for the theory that there was a plane swap and the guy's name is Dick Cock. To Jean Laratonda and Sandra Gelmy and to anybody else supporting Barbara Honegger, that's a mic drop. This is who you're supporting. And I know that Jean likes to say that I'm not supporting the Lawyers Committee, and I should be. Here's one reason why I'm not. Because this person, as well as others, like Jane Clark and now Richard Gage, propose that I should be reading Dick Cock from the Netherlands with this miraculous evidence of a plane swap. And is such miraculous evidence that you have to pay $55 for a book that doesn't exist. But if you look up Dick Cock or Google it, you're probably going to be on Pornhub.
Yes. So truthers,
I think we could just
talking about.
Yeah, that nothing else.
Nothing
so
else
now here's another
clip.
clip, and this clip is from same thing. Barbara Honegger, Richard Gage interviews her about Flight 175 as a drone.
That at least two of the planes, the World Trade Center 2 plane and the Pentagon plane, in my studied opinion, were hijacked by remote control technology. They were then landed by that remote control technology and then swapped, traded out for different planes that were then also remote controlled into the targets. Okay, that is what I believe is the modus operandi of the inside job attacks of 9/11. So what is some of this evidence? What is some of the evidence that the World Trade Center 2 plane, the one that hit World Trade Center 2, was not Flight 175, which is the official story. And that's one of the planes that left Boston Logan Airport originally. All right. There's testimony of multiple witnesses, including two that I know that you know well, Ricky DeSantis.
Yeah, we had him on the show.
You had him on the show recently. And I helped you with some of the background information for that. So that includes Ricky DeSantis and his former, one of his former top officers in his company in Wall Street on 9/11, Miriam Baza, who spoke at, I believe it was the 2014 New York City anniversary event. And there are other witnesses, but they are two of those witnesses who've gone on record that the World Trade Center 2 plane was gunmetal gray. It was completely gray. There has been a professional digital analysis of what appears to be a pod at the bottom of the fuselage of that plane from the video. And of course, a pod under the fuselage is not part of any commercial airliner at all, as definitively being a true physical object. In other words, it's not just a reflection or some kind of artifact of the video. And that has been done by one of our colleagues in our Europe 9/11 group.
Woof, woof, woof.
Amazing work in the Europe 9/11 group.
Okay, I'm going to just share a picture, okay?
Yeah, please
and
do.
You know what? It's just like, this is embarrassing. First of all, she basically says, you know, the evidence, the eyewitness reports are saying that it was a great plane. Now, do I need to remind everybody here what an American Airlines plane looks like? This is what it looks like.
Remind us, please.
This is what
Wow, it looks like a great plane to me.
Incredible.
I mean, a sterling investigation, right? This is at least, this is dark blue underneath, dark blue. Now this is, I wouldn't say dark gray, but like a very solid gray, for example. I'll just say that, solid gray. Now just imagine 110 stories up in the World Trade Center. All right, but this is the South Tower. So what's that? The 83rd floor? 83 floors up. How many feet is that? I couldn't tell you. A couple of maybe close to 800,000 feet up in the air. All right. Planes going 500 miles an hour. All right. I think it exceeded that. So I'm just going to say 500 miles an hour. So you're basically just going to see milliseconds of this. What do you think that's going to look like?
It's going to be pretty quick, almost like a blur.
Yeah, I would think so. Now,
Pretty quick.
I'm going to show you another picture, right? I took this picture, I blew it up so that, you know what? I'm just going to blow it up here and share it. And you could take a look. This is the best shot of 175, right? Here's the dark blue. Now you can see these white lines here. That's the sun glare, right? Sun glare here, 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 here. You can see it. Look, you can see on the buildings too. Sun is right to the west. Where's the pod?
Oh, there's no pod.
I don't see anything. Like
No.
Here's another picture. There's another picture I took. And it's blurry, but I mean, I'm blowing it up here. There's no pod.
It looks like the engines have the same reflection. Does that mean that it's got missiles on both wings?
Probably. Listen, you know, I've mentioned this before too. I found out the guy's name. So Stanley Pramath, who is one of the few survivors
Yes.
to survive the point of impact and above. He was working for Fiji Bank. And I use this guy as an example. If Flight 175 shot a missile, Stanley Pramath is dead because he basically has testified numerous times over the years that he saw the plane coming, hid under his desk when the plane impacted the building, 1 floor above him. Okay. By miraculous, he survived. And the only reason why he survived because another guy, Brian Clark, heard him yelling, and Brian Clark, who basically worked at Fiji Bank, helped them out, and they both survived. I think there's only 11 people that basically survived the South Tower above the impact, or where the impact happened. So shouldn't they be dead if there was a missile shot? Sean, Darin, common sense?
Well, I think common sense is going to just try to talk common sense. Why would you even need a missile? You have a missile fully full of fuel going over 500 miles per hour. Why would you need a missile to come out of its pod underneath? You already have a missile. It's called American Airlines
flight
175.
instructor wasn't warning FBI about missiles fired from airplanes. He was just warning them that you could just fly an airplane into something. That would do it.
Yeah.
That's a great point. Really, Darin, I think that another mic drop. The plane is the missile.
It's the missile.
Fully loaded.
So why would you complicate the mission even more if it was such an inside job? Why would you complicate it? Now you got to figure out who put that pod underneath there, who put that missile. Then you got to figure out, okay, they swapped. So what happened to the passengers? You got to explain this. Now, if you're going to come up with some radical, crazy ideas, you better give me some evidence, right? Anybody can say anything. I can say Flight 175 hit the Empire State Building. I could say anything, right? I got to have evidence, right? So what happened to these passengers? You got to explain it.
You would need to ensure that no one can find the remains of the pod as well.
Yes.
That's another good point. I didn't think about that. That's right.
Yes, good point.
Hey, good point. Yeah, for the likes of me, it's just amazing. Like they had the luxury of just making statements without providing any evidence for the statements above. I mean, this is an argument ad nauseum.
I mean, Brian Sweeney even said, he told his wife, Julie, like, hey, it's going to crash. Like, I just want to let you know, like, it's not looking good. That's what he said. So you need to find these people who made those phone calls. Peter Hansen, Robert Fangman, the flight attendant. You need, these people made phone calls about the plane being hijacked. So they must be in on the plot. So now you got to prove that too.
Right. Brian Sweeney's the husband of Amy Sweeney, who's a flight attendant on.
Flight attendant, yeah, too. Yeah.
Right, good one. Another great point. All right. So now the phone calls, basically going off script, by the way, they have to be faked. Right. So how is that fake? You can't listen. Anybody with their soul, it's not directly at Gage here either. Is anybody who's following these people, Ask the question. Say, all right, if these planes are swaps and these are drones, then what about the passengers? What about the phone calls? That's right. These are good questions, right? Now they have to explain that to you. Like what Darin said when he reached out to Dan Hanley. Hey, by the way, how did that remote control technology work? Well, he got no answer. Just like Richard Gage is not going to give you an answer about plane swaps. Or even Barbara Honegger. She'll try, but she basically will come up short. And they all do. So,
but yet, why is it necessary to use the remote to accomplish a swap when you could just use the remote to accomplish the impact and you don't have to do a swap? And assuming you have so much control over things, couldn't you just limit the ability to make calls altogether?
I think that's a great point that you raised. That's a huge point. By the way, why would they release the phone calls anyway? Because the object is they're going to crash anyway. So what does it matter? Right. So even the phone calls, like they could just say, hey, by the way, there were no phone calls on any of the planes. They could have basically just said that. Now remember too. Well,
then you wouldn't have Flight 93's phone calls contradicting you. It'd make a lot better sense.
And that's another great point, right? Because I was going to bring up, the whole Ziad Jarrah thing about, the real anomalies that these people are not, that they don't know about, or they tend to overlook it, right? Now, there are phone calls, and Nelson made a film about the one phone call, 677, where you had Renee May on Flight 77 saying, hey, by the way, Ma, she called her mother in Las Vegas, say, Ma, there's 6 of them. And it's not a passenger, it's a flight attendant, okay? Now, that goes against the official narrative of 5. Now, at Flight 93, it's even better, because we got 6 phone calls, 3 hijackers.
3 hijackers.
Instead of 4. So
see,
now
we don't believe the official narrative.
Exactly right. I mean, that's against. Hey, by the way, that's against the script. We can't. You understand what I'm trying to tell you guys? Okay, I'm not talking to Darin and Shawnee. I'm talking to the people watching this video. Okay, ask the right questions. These guys are not asking the right questions. And by the way, no, it doesn't end there, because now we got another clip, and this is one of my favorites because Darin's going to be all over this one. Massimo Mazzucco. Now, for everybody who doesn't know, Massimo Mazzucco, he was behind a very popular Fringe Conspiracy film called 9/11 Pearl Harbor, I think it's called, or I'm getting the name wrong. The New Pearl Harbor. The New Pearl Harbor, yeah. Right. So what does he have to say? Oh, boy.
Well, the whole Bin Laden thing it's a story in itself that deserves to be studied carefully. That will also show you how useful is to have a patsy at hand, like in the Kennedy assassination. I mean, Kennedy gets killed at, I think they shoot him at 12:35. He dies at Parkland Hospital at 1 o'clock, and at 2 p.m. or 2:15, they already arrested Oswald. The importance to have a patsy at hand is huge, because it will immediately stop people from asking questions. When you have something like 9/11 happen, and I remember sitting in front of the TV. I mean, I was in California. Some friend of mine woke me up.
Just to stop right there, just want to inform people. Oswald didn't make global interviews and news reports about wanting to attack the United States. Osama bin Laden did that.
Yeah.
Numerous times throughout the 90s.
That's a good point. Yeah, those fatwas he made. He made some fatwas,
I mean, well, my God, and they're still public. I mean, go to archive.org, because some of the more rarer interviews that he's done over the years, throughout the mid-90s, he wants to attack the United States. He made 2 fatwas, one in 96 and one in 98, about wanting to attack the United States. I just wanted to bring that up.
I said, turn on TV. It was 7 a.m. there. Turned on TV, and I sat there, and as I'm processing everything, and I start hearing, suspicions are on Osama bin Laden. I mean, as I said before, we didn't even know who was on those planes, and we actually would not have known who was on those planes ever, because there were no Arab names on the passengers manifest. The only way we know that is because a letter was found in the suitcase of one of the alleged terrorists that did not make it on the plane, and it contained a list with all their names. Then they
well, wait. No. What? I mean, Nelson deserves credit here, by the way, because he's the only one that uploaded the news articles, the news video edits and could be seen on Truth to TV on YouTube, where CNN and ABC were the first ones to come out and basically say who is on the manifests. How would they know who's on the manifests until it's public? And guess what was on those manifests? Arabic names. There was two that, and in fact, this is one of his best articles, and I think was the first article I ever read from him, was about the brothers. And I can't think of their names.
Adnan Bakari brothers.
Thank you, Darin. You're the man. Yeah, Amir Bakari, or
I think it's Adnan
Adnan and Amir Bukhari.
Yeah.
You are the man. Thank you very much. Yeah, that's right. How would they know that? They were on the manifest.
Match the names with the pictures, and suddenly FBI in today says the name and the pictures. And Osama bin Laden.
That's wrong too. By the way, the FBI reported it for the first time on September 27th, 2001. In fact, what they did was they announced the names beforehand, but then they took the pictures and added that on September 27th, 2001.
Of course, is the one who sent them. The importance to have a patsy at hand, as I said, is fundamental because it will stop people from asking questions. If you allow for too many days to go on and all the details to come out, then people really start doubting. But if you give them a culprit right away, that's it. People sit down and say, okay. And it makes sense that it would be bin Laden and the Islamics because in 1993, they already tried to take down the Twin Towers, remember? So it all makes sense in the people's mind. Mm-hmm. Only those who really know the history of the bombing of 1993 will know that that was set up by the FBI themselves. Ramsey used that.
Oh. The Alex
people who
Jones,
know, like Alex Jones.
Yeah, the Alex Sean. It still exists.
Very much.
Darin, you're wiping your brow. What's wrong?
Okay. So 1993, I'm going to say it again, was not done by the FBI. Okay. Please watch Nelson's film in 1993. Mm-hmm. Okay. Start there. Please just start there. If you watch that film and understand 93, it makes 2001 so much easier. Mm-hmm. It really does. Okay. I'm just going to start real quick. It all starts with El Sayed Nosir. He murdered Rabbi Meir Kahane. Okay. Got caught, got off the murder charges, but got gun charges. Okay. So he went to Attica for that. Okay. The FBI had an informant, Iman Salem. Okay. Him and Ibrahim El Gabroni went to the Attica prison because they just give him the details of what's going on. Nosir wanted them to bust him out of prison and to make 12 pipe bombs. Okay. Nothing about the Trade Center. Okay. 12 pipe bombs. Okay. For Jewish neighborhoods. He also talked about assassinations of some prominent Jewish figures. Okay. So again, nothing about the Trade Center. Okay. Well, as it comes back, Salem tells the FBI what's going on. Okay. They give him fake powder and blasting caps. Fake. Not real, fake. Okay. Salem's like, oh hell no, dude. I need the real stuff because they find out this is fake, I'm dead. Okay. So the FBI didn't give him, per the FBI informant, Iman Salem, the real powder to make bombs. Well, the FBI, with John Antichev and Nancy Floyd, brought him up to the unit to meet Carson Dunbar, who was their superior. Carson Dunbar wanted him to wear a wire so he can testify. Iman Salem said no, because if I testify, I go back to Egypt, they'll kill my sister, to mess with my family, I'm not doing it. So basically they had a big battle, and Salem and Dunbar, they stopped working for each other. FBI kicked them out. This is July of 1992, okay? Then they found another, they like to say, cook or terrorist named Ramzi Youssef. Ramzi Youssef has no connection to the FBI, CIA, nothing. Okay. He's a contract terrorist, what I believe. Okay. He came in September 1st with another guy, Ahmadinejad. Okay. So now the FBI has no informant. They have no clue what this group is up to. Okay. So they had their informant, Imad Salem, and to infiltrate this group, right? Well, he's gone now. All right. Ramzi Youssef is now going in with Mohammed Salameh, Nidal Ayad, Mahmoud Abu Halima, all these other guys to do terrorist acts. Okay. They finally were going to do some Jewish neighborhoods, and Ramzi Youssef brought up the idea to do the World Trade Center bombing. Okay. FBI had no clue. Nobody had a clue. Okay. The FBI was not behind the bombing. This was done by Ramzi Youssef and his cohorts, like I just mentioned. Okay. So he's got it wrong right away. FBI had nothing to do. And Richard Gage believes this. Okay. I know I've been going on for a while ranting, but Richard Gage believes 1993 was done by the FBI. Okay. And that's totally false.
There's no follow-up to that.
Cool.
Well, that's after. That's in 2000. That to blame Bin Laden himself, yes. But in general, to justify in people's mind the idea that Islamics would attack the Twin Towers, the 1993 bombing of the Twin Towers was fundamental. Because there you had a guy named Ramzi Youssef, I think it was his name, was actually working with the FBI. And this...
Yes. No.
No, that's no.
Now, is this a matter of like being disinformed, or he's just lying?
Probably
could have mixed them up, right?
Could have mixed them up because we know about Imad Salem. He is an informant, FBI. But I think, Adam, you did bring up a point where in there about how he worded it.
Right, because look at what he says right after.
This came out. I can say this because we know this because it came out on a trial. Through an informant, the FBI had provided Ramzi Youssef with the bomb, the actual bomb.
Right, and he's talking about Imad Salem. So now there's two informants. That's what he's saying.
Yeah.
So
and by the way, Ramzi Youssef never said anything about in the trial. By the way, there's nothing.
Right.
About him being
I don't know where he got this from.
I don't know either.
If anything, Ramzi Youssef said in his trial that I am a terrorist.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go, Sean.
That's right.
He said, he said, I am a terrorist, and he said, I'm proud of it.
Yes,
that's right. He said that.
That exploded in 1993 was provided to the terrorists by the FBI.
No. Now, Darin just explained this, so I don't need to say.
Told him, of course, that it was an empty bomb, a fake bomb. It turned out to be real. But it was provided by them, and this was proven at the trial.
No, it wasn't.
It wasn't, dude. Like, where's he coming up with this? Dude?
I don't know, bro. I don't know where he's getting this from.
Did the guy just wake up and just like say, "I'm gonna talk about 93"? I have no freaking clue what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Heard Alex Jones
there are
say
even
it
articles
once
on the
kind of remembered
you.
Like everything he says here about 93 was totally dead wrong. Totally.
And the New York Times.
The only thing he got right was the name Ramzi Youssef. That's the only thing he got right.
Surprisingly, right?
Yeah.
This was actually set up by the FBI. But in the popular imagination, it was the Islamics who tried to take down the towers. So when you come to 9/11 and you attach Bin Laden and Islamic terrorism to it, it makes perfect sense and people ask no questions.
Well, that's not true because we're living proof that we do ask questions. It's you guys that don't ask questions. You guys don't ask any questions. You just make assertions without providing evidence in the hopes that your audience doesn't ask questions. That's the whole irony of this.
Yeah.
And if Gage knew anything about 93, he could have said, well, no, it was Imad Salem who was the FBI informant.
Right.
That's basics. That's kind of basic stuff.
Yeah, really.
I would say, if you're going to talk 93, at least have the informant down. Jeez.
It doesn't even have internal logic because he's insisting that the FBI has somehow told on itself and allowed this to get out in court.
Himself,
This is once again where this is this grand conspiracy that is so powerful and yet so sloppy at every turn. It's just doesn't have good internal logic.
No, not at all. That's a great point. By the way, this is the same guy who it's not up on YouTube anymore, but he gave the 20 9/11 expert questions to see if you're an expert on 9/11. So,
that was this guy. Oh man,
yeah, that was him. That was.
I remember that.
And just to let the audience know too, again, how was Ramzi Youssef a patsy? Tell me how he's a patsy.
Yeah, right, exactly.
He wasn't controlled by anybody.
Proudly
So-
admitted to it.
Probably admitted to it. So how was he a patsy?
Okay. Now, the next clip is probably one of my favorites, and I saved it for the last. Richard Gage interviews
Deep under-
Scott Bennett.
Oh.
And you guys already seen this video in whole, which I bless you for your patience. But I told you yesterday, I had 20 clips of this guy. I chose this one because he actually bundles up all the conspiracies in one fell swoop. Listen.
Understanding of how an operation like this might progress from inception to execution. Can you walk us through that?
Well, working backwards after 9/11, I would say it's a compartmentalized operation that had participants at the highest levels. You had Saudi intelligence, Saudi royal family, because they were the pawns that were used in this game. The Israeli Mossad and Israeli intelligence were used in this game. The Five Dancing Israelis are an example. The Israeli teams that were planting explosives were another. The Israeli media participation, not to mention some of the other computer graphics that were used in some of the phantom appearances of planes and things like that. The American CIA, of course, were used. Since Susan Lindauer is a well-documented authority on that. Her handler had said this is an Israeli Mossad operation, and then she was forever cautioned to never mention it again. The FBI, of course, played a role in this. The 1993 bombing of the World Trade Center tower, I think, was, this has been a long time coming, and there's a lot of material too about symbology being used in films pointing to 9/11, and there's a lot of evidence that can be thrown up on the table that assembles essentially the mosaic image. It's like one of those computer graphic images that you have to stare at for a long time before your eyes adjust and you see the picture, the three-dimensional picture inside the computer graphic artwork.
Deep.
Yeah, I mean, wow.
That's gold.
All in one shot.
I don't know, where do we start?
All right, so Israelis planting explosives in the World Trade Center, and this is
he inferring that this is the gelatin thing? Is that where he's going with that?
I think so. I think so too. Yeah,
it
has to be. This guy believes in CGI planes.
By the way, Gelatin B is actually an Austrian art student group, and they make there's no hidden point about what they were doing, because they explained on YouTube what they're doing. That video is still around. They're not Israelis. I don't know where they get this from. I think it's from the the Rebecca Roth theory.
Rebecca Roth,
that this originated from.
She uses that to connect Dick Cheney with the fuse box. Yeah.
Right. So I'm guessing that's where he got this from. CGI planes.
See, that's the thing. Richard should have cut him off, right there.
Right.
But see, see, we're just showing you guys little clips. You guys got to remember all these interviews. Richard praises them at the end. Thank you so much for this great information. Your information's been awesome. You're an expert in this field. It's like, oh my God, dude. It's like, he does. I mean, we're just showing you little clips, but Richard praises these people. Just for you guys to know this. We all of us have seen these videos. Unfortunately, we put ourselves to these 2 hours of watching these horrific videos, but we do it because, we want to share the truth, right? And this guy is far from the truth. So this guy is saying about symbolism. I'm sure he believes Lisa Simpson on The Simpsons with the 9/11 brochure. That's right. They must have known about 9/11, The Simpsons, back in the 90s. So, this guy with CGI planes. I mean, come on, you can't even take serious. I don't know how Gage even was able to. How could you even take us as a straight face?
Yeah, and this is the reason why we're doing this video, right?
Exactly.
So this is exactly the reason why. Why is Richard Gage interviewing these people? Why is he giving them any authority? And why is he agreeing with them?
Right, and he's supposed to be the face so-called face of the movement, right? And again, this is what I go back to, is 21 years later, this is why we're in the same situation, because we got people like Gage interviewing these people, calling them great interviews, and this is what we have. And this is why, unfortunately, we sit on Twitter or Facebook and we talk to these people, and half the time we just have to block them because it's, you can't get anywhere, right? It's no plane, missile. It's like, it's so ingrained in their minds. It's sad.
The positions are very unclear, very uncertain, very much the just asking questions vibe from a lot of people that basically purport these theories. And we see here, well-regarded speakers that don't really have definitive positions. They're saying, well, it could have been. And yet that becomes what is certain for so many people. And now they're certain that it was computer graphics, and they're certain that the media is being all these things. But yet they're all just beginning with these sort of loose, unclear questions that people have. Something about the official story doesn't make sense. And it's almost like the evolution of a meme. These weird stories take on a life of their own and become something else. But they don't have very good evidence for any of it. Very speculative on all fronts. With something like computer graphics, for example, and the media could have manipulated it, sort of vibes that we're getting from Bennett here in this clip.
They're making the government to be very amalgamous. Like they could do whatever they want.
Yeah, it can just be anything. Yeah.
Whatever. Boy, if that was the case, I mean, we would have multiple 9/11s if that was the case. I mean, they could do
absolutely,
whatever, and the projects like Pachinko Plot or Millennium would have been successful. I mean, they just make just this it's one gigantic amalgamous entity that can do the impossible, and involves so many thousands of people involved, and they all got to be in line or be told to shut up, and it comes to the conclusion of why is Richard Gage doing this, right? Why is he interviewing these people? Why is he supporting these people that actually hurt the truth movement? And they are hurting the truth movement because, when you propagate these theories, you're basically supporting hypotheses that are often irrational, not met with any evidence whatsoever, because at least they're going against the official narrative, which they think is the ultimate goal, to be against the official narrative.
Exactly.
And that's a mistake. So myself, Sean, Darin, we brainstormed about why is Richard Gage doing this? We could basically say he's the shill, or that, he's working for some nefarious government agency. But in the next clip, he basically tells you why he's doing this. Now, remember, don't forget that when he created Architects and Engineers, he was getting a very good salary from there. I think it was close to six figures. No, I'm sorry. It was six figures, about $80,000, $90,000, something like that. I don't know how much money total he's made, but it was a very good salary. But then when he was forced out by his own board members, he has to start all over. And that's why he created 9/11 Unleashed. And in the very first video he ever did, he said this.
A mission, and I'm not exactly sure how it will unfold before me, but I need your support. You'll find ways to support me on my website. $7 a month. Can you handle that? Because if you can't, then I can't speak. Because I'm unemployed right now. I don't have a means of supporting myself unless I go back to work. And I love architecture.
Oh.
And I love the work that I do. And I have an offer at an architecture firm. And I was excited about it for a little while, but then I thought about all of you out there who are wondering what happened, if you knew anything at all. A, and B, if you know that I'm not with AE 9/11 Truth, what am I doing? Well, I'm not going to do it alone. I can only do it with you in partnership. So I'm willing to continue speaking anywhere and everywhere I can. I'm willing to push the envelope and call 400 radio and TV stations and podcasters who have had me on already. I've done over 700 radio and TV interviews, and ask them if they want to talk about it. I'm not representing AE 9/11 Truth anymore. I'm independent. I'm solo.
There it is. Okay. He can't do it unless you support him financially. And he can't propagate these theories. He can't propagate no planes at the Pentagon in Shanksville without you giving him money. That's what he basically is saying.
He says he needs the help to speak, but yet when he speaks, he doesn't have any information. He's asking questions.
Right.
We're paying him to learn basics.
Exactly. So,
and this is the people that don't know. He just says that he needs the people who don't know to follow, but the people who don't know, he doesn't know either, because he admits that he doesn't know. He doesn't have a position on the Pentagon or anything. He admits that he doesn't know. So he wants people to pay him. People who are on the same level of education as he is are to support him so that he can speak. And that when he speaks, he has nothing to say. I mean, Scott Horton's done over 5,000 interviews, and he at least knows something.
Right. Good, right. Good, as a comparison. Right. And he basically says that, I got an offer to work, but he would rather not work and do this full time. I mean, why not? You don't have to work.
Yeah, I honestly don't think he has an offer. I don't know what firm would hire him, to be honest with you.
That's a fair point.
Just because of all the stuff he's talked about.
Right.
I'm not going to say the word, but
so.
you know what I mean. So
yeah, no.
Well, the sky's the limit, obviously, because any conspiracy is possible. He'll entertain any conspiracy, it seems.
Sure. Now compare that to knowledgeable people like you said, Scott Horton, right? Nelson Martins or Ryan Dawson, for example, Paul Thompson and Kevin Fenton. Even active people like Ray Nowinski, John Gold, all right, Robbie Martin. Like I said, Nelson Martins. People who do it for free.
Yeah.
Produce film. Nelson does this for free. I mean, he has a Patreon account, but he doesn't beg for money.
No, he doesn't.
Right? He makes those films for free. They're 5
Puts out the full-length films. They're epic. Yeah.
Right. Hey, God's sakes. And it's like, you're definitely coming away with something, because what is he using as evidence? Well, he's using news articles, news edited videos, information, tangible information. What is Gage giving you? Well, he's giving you Scott Bennett. He's giving you Barbara Honegger. He's giving you Dave Von Kleist. You're getting the whole shebang, but as Sean said, you're not getting any information from it. Mm-hmm. This is all speculation. CGI planes, fake phone calls, fake planes, you name it. It's all there. Oh, you'll get a story, all right. But that's all you get.
And yet none of those conspiracies actually work together. See, he'll interview many people, and they'll have a different take on things. These conspiracies are not inclusive. They're divergent. They take you in all different directions. So are we to assume that the audience is just picking the one that they ideologically align with and running with it? Exactly. But yet, if they do that, are they challenging the other fringe conspiracies which are contrary to these takes? Because Richard Gage seems to be fine with all of them at once, which doesn't even make sense. In terms of critical thinking, it just seems impossible that you could be fine with all of these at once. They're contradictory.
Yes, they're in competition with one another.
Yep.
And this is why there's so much like sectarianism within the truth movement itself. But I mean, any final words to this? I mean, look, this is the reason why we did this video. And it's not like we used ad hominems to Richard Gage. And we don't need to, because what we wanted to do was basically just show him a mirror of himself, to show that the internal discord, the division, the divisive issues, the fringe conspiracies that have held back the truth movement are not coming from us. It's coming from them. They hijacked the truth movement for this, to make a profit gain. so that they could tell you a story that is based on fantasy. I mean, I'll let you guys have the last word if you want.
Yeah, real quick, I'll say this was a great video, I thought, and it's something that needed to be done. Gage is a big name in the movement, but unfortunately, what he believes and what he's supporting just hinders it, and it's a shame. So I honestly think, like you said, what's he motivated by? Truth or money? And it's hard to say, but it kind of looks like, like you said, the last clip looks like money. So, we all of us here, all three of us have jobs, and we have, stuff that we have to support, but we do content for free, especially you, Adam. You've done thousands of videos. You never asked for a handout, not once. And but Gage right there, $7, support me so I can speak. It's just like he's like a used car salesman to me, and that's how I feel. So
go on. I mean,
I got a couple points for just closing thoughts. One thing that's been lingering in my mind was Barbara Honegger's reference to an anonymous source, and I think that this is a sort of a underlying issue through a lot of 9/11 conspiracy and probably the greater sphere of conspiracy theory in general is anonymous sources. I have a problem with anonymous sources because if a source is anonymous, then you don't know who was lying, if they were lying. And you don't know who to praise if they were right. So at least if, say, I don't know, an official source, like throw the air quotes on it, official source, at least an official source that's lying, you can hold them to it and say, yes, you were lying. But an anonymous source, you don't know. It's intangible. It's in the ether. And that's QAnon and a lot of other things. You don't know what to make of it. You might believe in it. And then the other thing is, if you really want to help something in this cause, this is just my opinion, but I wouldn't be surprised if some other people agree. Help yourself. Help yourself. Learn. And learn how to think critically. It's not necessary to be a follower.
I think that's a great point, is that regarding followers and leaders, and that's something was my main goal for opening up Viral Media, was that I wanted other people to learn from me, and then they become the teachers, and that they have channels of themselves, which is what you guys are doing, and I'm proud of you. So by the way, Darin Harvey has his own YouTube channel. Go subscribe. Sean, one day we'll get you and your pretty face on video.
Sure, I'll be next. Sure,
I know you guys are working on a podcast, right?
Yeah, eventually. Yeah.
Eventually.
I know we're gonna get there. I know Sean has some stuff to do, and we're just gonna wait to hopefully pretty soon we'll get that going. So I'm looking forward to do that with him, because I just want to let people know Sean's a very, very smart guy regarding this stuff, and really, really need to take him to heart. Especially he's on Twitter, and the guy posts a lot of great information that you should look at.
Yeah. Darin's no slouch himself. He's like the next Adam Fitzgerald with Arab names.
Oh my God! I hope he doesn't have my memory loss. But hey, listen, thanks you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you next week when we do Barbara Honegger.
Yes, and I wanted to point that out. That's going to be next Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern. It's going to be me, Sean, Adam, Ed Brotherton, and a special guest. I'm not going to say his name, but that's going to be probably my favorite one.
Yeah, that's going to be a very good roundtable, by the way. So
all right, you guys have a great rest of the week. Okay.
Have a good night, guys.
Take care, guys.
Take care, guys.